אחר הצהריים טובים לכולם, שמי ליאור גודס וברוכים הבאים לוובינר בנושא Open Banking on AWS. אנחנו נמתין עוד 2 דקות עד להתחלה, לתת לאנשים את הזמן להירשם ולהיכנס לוובינר. אני רואה שיש הצטרפות כל הזמן, אז נחכה את 2 דקות האלה ומיד נתחיל. אוקיי, אז שוב, שלום לכולם, אחר הצהריים טובים, לכל מי שהצטרף, תודה שהצטרפתם אלינו, אני רואה שתוך כדי מצטרפים עוד, וההקדמה הזאת אולי תיתן קצת זמן לאנשים עדיין להצטרף אחרי הרישום. שמי ליאור גודס, ואני מנהל צוות ב-AWS ישראל באנטרפרייז. הוובינר שנערוך היום הוא בנושא של Open Banking, אני מיד אעבור לאנגלית כדי להציג את השותפים שלנו ומי משתתף, אבל לפני זה כמה דברים כלליים. אחד, הוובינר יעסוק כמו שאמרתי ב-Open Banking ובפלטפורמה שהיא פלטפורמת SaaS במודולים שונים, אנחנו נציג דמו של הפלטפורמה שיועבר על ידי השותף, מיד אני אציג את השותף. בנוסף ניתן לכתוב שאלות, יש לכם את תיבת השאלות למטה, ניתן לכתוב את השאלות, בבקשה תכתבו אותם באנגלית, כדי שנוכל להגיב עליהם, ובנוסף, המצגת הזאת תוקלט, הוובינר יוקלט, והמשתתפים יקבלו את ההקלטה, אנחנו נוסיף גם להקלטה את הפרטים שבמידה ואחר כך תהיו מעוניינים ליצור איתנו קשר בכל נושא של שאלות, של המשך כזה או אחר, או בכל דבר ועניין, אז נוכל, יהיה לכם את איש הקשר לחזור אליו ולתאם את ההמשך. אז לפני שנתחיל, I will switch to English, and I want to welcome the AWS Financial Services team and our advanced partner, Financial Services Advanced Partner, FinConnector, who will present their platform for Open Banking. Thank you, Betty, Jorge, and the team for joining this lovely afternoon in Tel Aviv. Only if it's only by a remote platform, but again, thank you for your time, and I wish all the audience and the attendees a pleasure time and value for the time of being part of this webinar. So, Betty, please, can you continue from here?
Sure, thanks, Lior. Shalom, it's a pleasure to be here. We'll talk a little bit about kind of setting the stage, right? So open banking started in many markets around the world with a regulatory mandate with PSD2. Mexico is going through this, Brazil, Australia, Canada, and of course now we'll talk a bit about Israel. So it started with banks having to comply with regulation, or what I call kind of a defense mode. But it's now time to talk about offense and where these investments in API infrastructure can be monetized. Additionally, banks are looking for an ecosystem of fintech solutions, a community in which to leverage many of these microservices. Yet implementing and exposing APIs on their own are really not sufficient to ensure this collaboration among parties. So the financial institution has to maintain high levels of service, support, security, and a continuous improvement to engage with developers and encourage them to connect and use these services. And API consumers also expect secure transmission and consumption of data. And of course, as banks, risk and compliance are key areas to ensure that they are top-notch, and obviously we leverage the expertise of our team, and I'll talk about who we are, but as well AWS expertise in the areas of compliance and security. So who are we? We are FinConnecta. Our platform is a turnkey solution that allows financial institutions to comply with local regs around open banking, as well as benefit from monetizing this effort. So we provide the banks with the infrastructure to transition to open banking, develop standardized APIs to allow easy integration with third-party developers. Our platform, we are a global tech company. We're an advanced partner. You heard of AWS. Between the team, we have about 300 years of banking experience. We started when we were very young in the industry. And we are a bunch of ex-bankers, ex-payment, a lot of Citi global experience, running actually Fintech organizations, really understanding this connection and this pain point as Fintechs tried to work with financial institutions. So we have a significant muscle with regard to leveraging this pain point of integration and integrating to back-end legacy systems. So we really are a middleware. We integrate FIs with Fintechs, and we have a modular tech stack. Our journey started with the Inter-American Development Bank in Latin America with multiple regional banks. We then recreated this in Africa and the Middle East with FMO. And we have a flagship implementation in Mexico with the largest processor called Prosa that does about 3.6 billion transactions a year, and it has about 160 banks and merchants that are connected to their platform. So we offer this unique integration model through our platform that allows a single integration, as you can see on the screen, accelerating time to market at a fraction of the cost. And we built this switch that connects the back end to third-party providers, enabling innovation, enabling open banking, and we're agnostic to core banking systems and legacy backends. We have a store, a catalog in our platform featuring an array of vetted solutions, open access to a catalog of, with AWS, Fintechs, and other digital solutions, thousands of Fintech companies. All of the top 50 Forbes Fintech are using AWS. We have a sandbox, a safe environment to collaborate with third parties, test their solutions, measure API calls, and de-risk working with new partners. We have a gateway, an API gateway, which manages APIs from a comprehensive catalog, facilitating this integration with third-party solutions. We've got access to over 200 microservices that you can leverage with these APIs. And we have a data lake that allows the centralized storage of both structured and unstructured data to enable multiple types of analytics and usage of data that can finally be harnessed. So we deliver benefits related to speed, implementing 6 weeks versus 6 months, and a single integration, which is standardized via these APIs versus this one-by-one integration. We use a SaaS model, software as a service. We're very focused on OpEx as opposed to CapEx. We have a whole process and have done significant work on the normalization of APIs and keeping up with that normalization across the globe. We enable open banking and continuous innovation. And in fact, open banking is actually shifting to open finance and bringing in a broader group within the financial services vertical, all in a compliant way, a secure manner. And again, with AWS, we leverage their expertise and muscle with compliance and security, as well, of course, as the cloud. But there's nothing like bringing it to life versus speaking about it with a demo. And I will now hand it off to our CTO and architect of our platform, Mauricio Lorenzetti.
I think I was muted. Thank you, Betty. Thank you all for attending the webinar and for the opportunity to share the platform we have built. I believe you can see my screen, right? I've been sharing from the beginning, I hope. So about the platform, yeah, before we go through the system, I show you the capabilities. I like to set the level and share a perspective, and so we all understand the context and the ecosystem, the landscape together. We built this is our knowledge base, is an intranet that we have in the company. There are a lot of content here that we can make it available to you if you want. About the governance, about many of the aspects and the philosophy, the methodology that we use. I want to show just two diagrams before we move into the platform, so you can have a sense of what you're going to see. I think this is a very representative chart that we have. I have it here on my iPad. Imagine that you're seeing from a helicopter, right? From a drone. Today is a drone. So you're seeing from the top the landscape. This is how we structure the design of the platform. There are basically 4 players that we see here in this ecosystem. Right? We start with the financial institutions. They are on the right side. They are represented by the systems they have, their technology, the core systems, maybe their ERPs, some other systems that they may have and they use on their operational activities, right? And normally there is a back office there. People are accessing, working with this, attending their clients. There are some other internet, IVR, contact center, right, channels there. So what we do is we look at this and we want them to be as is, right? The idea here is to be the least invasive possible. We look at the services that are available into those systems, right? And from our point of view, we go and integrate them. So this is the first thing that we believe it's a differentiator, right? We are the ones building the microservices on our side, inside the platform, to adjust the platform. So the platform is adjusted to reflect the capabilities that are available in your system as they are, right? So we build this here, and we translate those services into a set of APIs, normalized, standardized, secured APIs. The mapping, the transformation, we work on that. Normally it takes us between 4-6 weeks to onboard a financial institution into the ecosystem. And all we need here is an SME, a subject matter expert, somebody with a architecture, technology background, will be part-time working with us just to help with the specs, the data, clarify any process, a specific process in your system. We have a lot of experience integrating off-the-shelf products, Temenos, Mambu, Finacle, Fiserv. So we do have those already nailed down to 80–90%. And but it's not always good to have somebody from the client side helping us in this process. So those APIs are made available to the other two players that we see in these ecosystems. So let's work on the visuals here, right? So we have the other party here are the Fintechs, right? So it's coming here. We see two types of Fintechs operating in the market out there, right? The first one, they're building UI, UX type of applications, right? They're focusing on the users. Their client, they see an individual as their end user. This individual can be a client for the bank, they can be the employer of the bank, they can be a prospect of the bank, right? Normally they're building applications that will eventually consume the APIs, right? They will get data, they will post data, but they are interfacing with the APIs. The development is on their side. They are the ones adopting these APIs that we have published, and through them, they can access the services that are available through the banks. Everything is orchestrated and controlled by the platform. Okay, so here we see chatbots, we see wallets, we see personal, business, financial management, we see credit initiation, and other types of solution, loyalty, other types of applications focusing on the individual. They are trying to expand the reach, the channels that the banks have. There are the second type of, this is the first one. The second one, we call it engines. They are fintechs that build logic, they build applications that expose APIs. So basically, they are not looking at an individual as their end user. They're looking at applications as their own user. So they have APIs as well. And what we do here, similar to what we do with the banks, we go out and we integrate them into the platform. So basically, we bring those capabilities inside the platform and we make them available as part of the orchestration and the use cases of the ecosystem. Okay, so it is very common to see a application being originated in one of those fintechs, being validated to a KYC, for example, engine. The result, it's then passed to the core system, so the applications are already pre-validated. So you have a scoring, alternative scoring solutions, you have workflows, you have messaging, and other types of security and other types of engines that we have integrated, right? And the next one, so this one, the next one and the last one are the oversight engines. So normally there is a regulator there, maybe the headquarters of an institution trying to get a sense of what their subsidiaries are doing. So what we do here is, for the fintechs, for example, in Mexico, in order to operate in the market, the fintech needs to be pre-approved by the government. So we go out and we can check if that fintech, if those services at the request level, we can go and check if they are allowed to operate. They're still allowed to operate in the market. We can have logic where you can post to a headquarters system any transaction that is, I don't know, international transactions above $50,000, for example. So you can have all sorts of triggers that will engage in engines that are outside of the institution. They are overseeing what is happening in the ecosystem. Okay. So going back to the platform, I want to show you when a fintech logs in, when they come into the platform, what they see is the API catalog, right? They are pre-approved, they register themselves. Let me go back just one step. I skipped that. So they are registering, the platform is self-served. They can register, they can sign up and register for the platform. When they register, we get notification, the administrator get notification. They come and approve the developer, right? So what happened is they have access to the APIs. This is the catalog I mentioned before that was normalized. Through those APIs, you can, for example, get account information. You can get account information in any institution, any country, any language, any product that have been incorporated to the platform. So basically an institution that was onboarded to the platform, this is the interface that the developers will see, right? It's all standardized. You can relate this to, you're probably very familiar with ISO 8583. We believe that the interface needs to be independent. It needs to be standard. It cannot be specific to an institution. So it will force the fintechs to develop multiple times every time they integrate to a new institution. So it is very important to have a standard interface. We make an effort to keep the interface up to date. So it is PSD2 compliant. We are currently implementing FDX, which is the Financial Data Exchange standards. They just released a version 4.3. We're implementing that. So one of the benefits of participating in this ecosystem is that you get to leverage all this work that we continuously do, right? This is not locked into those 40 or 50 that we already built. As we onboard new institutions, sometimes there is a need to expand one of those services. We do, there is no issue there, but we don't want to create complexity. It's a very important goal for us to keep it simple, to keep it robust, to keep it secure, and to keep it agnostic, right? So we can replace the solutions if we need. So all the information, this is a standard interface, so the developers get access to that, and they can build their platform. They can integrate their application into the ecosystem, okay, into the platform. Now there is another chart I want to show you here. Yeah, this one. Okay, I think it's very important to get the context into how the life cycle of the solutions. It's not that because we expose APIs that anyone can come and use it, right? Anyone can request access, but they not necessarily will get access to it. Will be granted, right? So one important aspect that we have is the whole deployment that makes the environment, the ecosystem secure. So how it starts? Every fintech, the first thing that we have two distinct environments here, right? We have the one that is the marketplace, and we have the one that is a production environment. They are totally different. The same binary, same code, the same product, but the content are different. In the testing environment, the fintechs start integrating through our APIs, and they interact with a robot. We built a simulator there, right? So this is the first gateway. This is the first point where we control the maturity. We control the functionality, the architecture. We do a review. We perform a review of the company. The commercial aspects they have, how they operate, in what markets they operate, how long they are in the market, what clients they have. So basically, we perform a set of checks on the company, on the platform, before they are available in the sandbox. So once they pass through this check, they are visible, they are published in our sandbox, right? So what happened here is, For the institutions that have been integrated, their UAT, their testing environment. So here again, it's all synthetic data, right? But this is real system. This is the real application on the financial institution side. The business here can start playing with the fintechs. They can test the functionality, they can test the compatibility between what they have built and what the core system are capable of providing. They can look at the UI, UX to see if the navigation, if this is the support to language, currency, it's what they expect and what they need. So at the sandbox, this is the environment where it really expedites the process, right? Because by the time you commit to a solution, you say, you know what, I think I found a very good candidate to take to the market. This process can take a few weeks, right? Maybe less than a week, because the application is already integrated, your core system is already integrated. All you're doing is you validating the fit, if that solution fits your needs. Right? If you find one that you want to deploy into production, you say, I want to go to the market with that. So what happened here is that solution will actually be, we set up in AWS, we set up an environment, that is a pre-production environment, dedicated, segregated. Every client has their own. They don't share anything here. Every client has their own environment. And that solution is deployed into the pre-production environment by our DevOps team. Our DevOps team can work together with your DevOps team. This environment is totally segregated. It's controlled by you. And in this environment, we perform vulnerability assessment, stress test, endurance test, and a regression test as well to see if this functionality that were here are still working well here. If they pass through everything, then it goes to production and contingents. So we have currently we're running out of US. For Latin America, our clients in Latin America have a primary in US East Coast and the contingents in UK. Our clients in Africa have the primary in UK, contingents in US. Okay, so before, this is a very important aspect from a governance, security, control point of view, right? Before anything reaches to market and deals with the real production information, right? Real production data, it goes into multiple environments, right? It gets checked in a progressive way, right? We don't do 100% check here. As they are promoted, we increase the amount of the elements, the aspects that we review. So we maximize the effort that we are applying in each one of those solutions. So we have thousands of solutions that are sitting here, just a few hundreds that are sitting here. So it gets reduced. It's really a funnel here, right? So you actually get the best possible for your case by the time you get to production. And this is the cycle that gets accelerated because we have the environment that gives you the ability to play, try before you buy, right? So let's see that. Yeah. If you are a client, if you're an institution, when you log in, you see the list of published solutions, right? You can also track the integration process. You can check the fintechs that are integrating, that you are testing. You can see how they are reacting, how they are behaving against your core system. You can see the transactions that are failing, the transactions that are succeeding. You can see what services they are consuming. So you control everything at staging, at the sandbox level, and then later at production. So through the metrics, you can measure their progress. You can see how long is it taking for them to integrate, to get one API integrated, and then you can use the metrics in production to reconcile the billing, right? Most of the fintech, the vast majority are SaaS, and the SaaS is based on transaction volumes, on sessions, on accounts opened. So there is always a metric associated to the billing, and you can reconcile with your host with the platform and with what the fintech have through the dashboard, right? What happens is when you see the solutions, you have the catalog, you can go down and look at their products. You can see the details of those solutions that have been integrated, that are part of the marketplace, and you can test them in the sandbox. So basically, you're there, you look and say, okay, I like to give a shot to this. So you actually go and test in the sandbox. So what happens is every fintech has a different spec, that has a different instruction for how they behave. Some of them you need to download, some of them are just Android, some of them are Android and iPhone, some of them have a website you need to visit. Some of them will white label that application, that site to your branding, to your language. So they give you instructions to how to play with the solution, and those instructions are sent to you. You know, the step by step. What do you need to do in order to try that solution? And this can happen using the simulators we have. But the important, the valuable experience is when you're testing the solutions against your own systems, right? The accounts with the data that you're familiar with, the same information that you're using in your internet banking, IVR, so forth, right? So we give you the opportunity, the tools to do that. Right? The system is all, the platform is all role-based, so you can control the access that every client, every user has. So basically, everything it's come to you out of the box, pre-configured, available on AWS on those two instances. It can be deployed in any location, any geography where you see the AWS facility, right? But we also have clients, so it's a preset platform that you can come in and start operating tomorrow, right? But some clients, they like to have more control, because one thing we did is when you do the filtering here, in order to move from here to here, the first thing is you need to be in production somewhere else, right? We, FinConnector, will not publish a fintech in our marketplace that is not live with a financial institution somewhere else in the market, right? We don't deal with, we work with them, but we don't publish and we don't make them available to our clients, the ones that are in MVP, that are in prototyping. But some banks want that, right? Some banks want to have a different take into the ecosystem. So for them, what we did was we leveraged everything that you saw, but you can control. This is one of our clients. They decided to be an incubator in the market. So they said, you know what, we want to get access to early development. So they invite developers. The developers come to the platform. They register there. Right? Let me change to English. So they come to the platform. They register. They see the same APIs. The same APIs we have. Every time our API portfolio catalog increases, they increase automatically. But here, the life cycle of the API is controlled by the bank. Right? The specs are the same, but who gets to see them and what stage they are available, if they are in production, if they are only on the sandbox, if they are work in progress, if they're bringing to their testing environment, the UAT, right? So the bank controls that, and through that they can have access. For example, this bank wants to influence how the fintechs are developing their applications. So we made them available as well. That will be available for you. It's a layer on top of the platform, the marketplace, and you get to manage your catalog of solutions, right, as well. I think that's it. This is a quick review, of the platform. I'll get back to you, Lior and Betty, and take any questions if you want.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, Lior, do you want to
So,
go?
yeah.
I was gonna.
One question that raised is that what are the business values that a platform brings, not just from a technical perspective, but from time to market, from complexity, and from other business parameters?
Sure. So I'll take that, and maybe if it's okay, I'll do a quick recap of kind of the features Mauricio showed us. Thank you, Mauricio. That was great to set the context as well as actually go through and see the different perspectives, both from the financial institution perspective as well as from the potential solution provider, the fintech. Because it's interesting to be able to see both roles. So he showed you our platform, secure, simple, fast, right? There's definitively a governance angle on it, and it is compliant within this dynamic ecosystem, ensuring consent and security and processes around who's accessing, et cetera. And then from an infrastructure standpoint, clearly scalable, on the AWS cloud, and modular depending on the needs of the financial institution. Again, it's a turnkey solution that provides the level of infrastructure that's required by the FI with this standardized approach. And from a tech perspective, I would say the value: easy to use, flexible. You could debate whether this is tech or business, but the ability to monetize the APIs. I think the tech world is developing APIs. I think the business guys are interested in monetizing them together. It's a great power combo, if you will, and generate revenue for their use, potentially in lifestyle type of third parties, being exactly where the customer is. Track who's making these API calls, potentially look at charging developers if there's a really good value exchange, measuring the data and the usage through analytics and being able to generate dashboards, and then integrating the monetization features into your own portal. As you saw Mauricio at the end show, a bank that wanted to be unique, not necessarily only leverage our platform, but actually go and develop their own portal with their own branding, etc. So the features are the store and the online catalog, the sandbox, which is the safe environment that de-risks working with fintechs. I don't know that you talked about getting access to their data, but we also have a bank bot that we developed, an API gateway, and a data lake. And the value at the beginning and the end of the day, Lior, is time to market, weeks instead of months, which the way solutions are delivered in financial institutions is a huge improvement with regard to being able to deliver new solutions to customers, de-risk and test them. An innovation enabler, an accelerator, right? Without skipping steps. So we're not asking for shortcuts. We're saying that there is a continuous innovation. You saw the different steps and the different environments that Mauricio was very clear to articulate, being able to have boundaries around them before you move a solution on through to production. And this effort carries through not just for your first fintech, right? We would expect 7, 10, 15 fintechs in your environment, leveraging our integration, which is not then the requirement to continually recreate this back-end integration, as well as not recreate the environment by which you have to do the testing. I love.
Betty, if I may, one thing is that normally the banks perform a very extensive due diligence before they commit to a solution, right? So what we believe this environment gives you, what the platform allows you, is to play with a lot of solutions before committing to any of them, right? In any software development, I think most of the participants the attendants will relate to this. Software development creates a lot of byproducts, right? So what really matters at the end of the day is the binary that is sitting in production. But to get to that point, there are a lot of specs, documents, tickets, defects that get created, presentations, status reports, meetings. All these are byproducts of that effort, and it doesn't go to the trash because somebody will audit that in the future, but it has absolute no value after the system or the application goes to life. So this environment, if it doesn't eliminate completely, it really reduces the amount of byproducts, because you're really playing with the actual solutions before you make any commitment. So you start producing some of those artifacts very later on, when you are already very close to production. So it eliminates a lot of work, and that, to me, I think it has a tremendous value from a time to market, from an investment in terms of effort and money. Normally, the banks cannot regret what they have done. So if you pick a solution and say, I like this chatbot. So after you have invested 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, trying to put them in production, you cannot write off that. So it locks you up. Here, this platform actually open up it creates the sandbox is a place for you to play with as many solutions as you want. The ones we bring to you, the ones that AWS will bring to you, and the ones that you can bring yourself. It gives you the infrastructure to play with them without any commitment, without any major investment from your side. The other thing that I didn't mention is that the other legal aspects, right? So when it comes, the model we have done with our clients is that we are the ones that sign contracts with the fintechs as a resale agreement. And the only entity here that needs to be vetted by your vendor management process is FinConnecta, right? So you don't need to do a full due diligence every time there is a new fintech participating here. So it creates those separation as well at system level, but at commercial aspect as well. So it is a single contract for the institutions, a single contract with each one of the fintechs, and we do the Shazam, as you find them interested and you want to move in. So the SLA, all the contracts that we have signed, all that happens is by the time it gets to production, it's just an SLA that is signed. Everything else is in place already. The governance, the financials, the due diligence, everything. This is a big given.
Well, and I would add on top of that, from a business perspective, you then move from an environment of capital expenditure to OpEx, which of course gives you more flexibility within everybody's limited budget. And the opportunity to develop new business models and monetize some of these new capabilities, where if a product had traditionally taken between 6 and 18 months to launch, you can do a lot of test and learn on some new product categories that were not necessarily in your portfolio, and start to look at both adding new products with a much faster turnaround, but also potentially going to new segments and the product or the solution that was always on the roadmap but got cut because there wasn't enough budget for it. There of course is also a very deep focus on the delivery of disruptive and new customer experiences, which helps differentiate Bax, and looking at it in a partnership model versus building everything from scratch on your own model, leveraging some of the IP that we've developed over the past 3.5, 4 years. and as well the availability of scaling this solution with our partners in the cloud, AWS. I think I'll close with
Betty, two additional questions, please. One, I guess,
sure.
is from a business side as well. And can you present some of the fintechs or the solutions that already you have partnered with? Which kind of applications and value that are already pre-installed on the platform? This is one. And the second question is, how do you as FinConnector apply to each regulator? Because the standard is a bit different between countries. So how do you apply to the local Israeli demands, the regulator standard?
Maybe I'll take that one first because we are going into Q&A. Before I go there, I will say, and the last piece on the value is actually vetting and curating the fintechs. There are organizations, FIs, that have quite a number of people that are out there looking for the best fintech for them. And that process takes a lot of resources and a lot of investigation and research. And that is something that this brings to the table for you. Of course, you can always bring your own, but you even asked the question of the type and the categories. We have 10 plus categories of fintechs that range from front end UI UX, like chatbot, or video. I don't know. You're going to go for there we go. The digital solutions he will show you, to front, middle, and back office type of solutions across multiple verticals within the bank, from robo-advisor to process improvement, to credit initiation, to video chat with your banker. Here's the type of use cases that we could deliver, anywhere from banking as a service. In the US, they're leveraging sorry, that was a phone call. They're leveraging the license of community banks and working with fintechs on launching new products under different brands for the bank, kind of like a digital neobank, leveraging this functionality and using these deposits for their own balance sheet. There's the possibility to use some of the engines that banks have for their credit initiation, and outsource that to startups. So there's just multiple angles on what's possible with regard to the fintechs. The second question, or if you want to go to the fintech
about the compliance, as I mentioned, we keep monitoring the markets, right? So we are monitoring all the regulations, the existing regulations. The fintechs do that as well. So one of the things that we do is we look at one of the first aspects is, when you're operating in a market, what are the markets your solution is compliant with from a regulatory point of view. We monitor the open banking trend, right? So it's not done. So the countries are moving toward it. So most of them are not going into specifics. Some of them are. Mexico, for example, wants the fintech to be pre-registered. So we apply all this in the platform. But there is a aspect that it's part of the partnership with the bank, right? Our client that operates in the market help us in this process as well. So we are proactive. We look at the markets and we look at the regulatory requirements. We expect the clients to facilitate that as well. The other thing is that we do have in FinConnect experience launching, implementing solutions pretty much globally, right? We implemented multiple solutions in multiple countries. I have done this in Israel itself when I was at Citibank, being audited by governments, by independent audits. So I'm very familiar with the regulatory aspects in the markets in Asia, in Middle East, in Europe, in Latin America, countries that have protection against data moving outside of their borders, PII, GDPR, pretty much all the relevant aspects we have it. Maybe a brand new 2-week-old regulatory aspect in Israel. Maybe we didn't get that yet, and then that's when we expect you guys to help. There are 2 questions. I don't think they are business. Like SDKs, we do support SDKs, right? It is okay. We don't encourage that because I think SDK creates a tightly coupled relationship. The APIs are very, I would say, are very popular these days exactly because of that, right? They are eliminating this. It's loosely coupled relation. It's far more flexible. Where the SDK is very invasive. When you use it, you start going to end of life, release management. It's you depend on the other party in order to move. So it's a little bit more complicated, but it's supported nevertheless. Okay, we don't encourage, but we support. And we are integrated to Plaid. Plaid is part of the platform. We integrate to Trulio as part of the engines that I mentioned earlier. We integrated to Plaid. We didn't integrate to Yodlee. I know Yodlee well from the time of Citibank. We didn't integrate to them. Integrate to Paybook. We integrated to Plaid. Basically, we look at the engine and we look at gaps. So it is important to have options. So it's not that we are locked with the one provider of a specific capability, but we also don't have it reduces the return on investment and increases the total cost of ownership if you have 5-7 different providers for the very same capability. So we look at the pricing level, we look at the reliability of the engine, and we onboard those fintechs that provide this kind of services as we find valuable to our clients. Plaid is one of them, and we have them. Okay, we found the second one is Paybook. They complement the landscape that Plaid had. Paybook is very strong in Latin America. We have a lot of clients in Latin America, so it was important for us to integrate. So we did it, and our clients didn't have to do anything there. Okay, so I think those are the 2 questions I saw there that are not business.
I would also add with regard to the fintech categories, with the pandemic that all of the world is dealing with, but the financial institutions were really trying to drive non-face-to-face type of activity. And so there was a lot of demand, right? You can't fake being digital during a pandemic when there was no location, but your processes require consumers or your customers to visit face-to-face. So there was a lot of requirement around digital ID and onboarding and video type of services. And to Mauricio's point, we really try to have 2 to 3 type of providers, not 5 or 6 per category, to allow the financial institution to review the different ways that these fintechs delivered their solution, and within their environment actually test 1, 2, or 3 of them to see what was best in their environment. And based on your financial institution, one could work better than the other. And we also understand that not all fintechs will last forever. And so the idea would be that you could unplug potentially one on a Friday, knowing that there was some issue or some new solution that was identified in another. And while you were testing in the sandbox with the second, you could actually turn it on for for the following week. And so we have a bit of redundancy. We also understand that financial institutions are not exactly alike and have different nuances, and we want to be able to provide for that. But because of this non-face-to-face, low-touch economy, there's been a lot of desire around How do I take the use cases that I do not want to put any risk with customers, employees, you know, and the market at large, and try and find some solutions that this digital technology can offer?
There is a question there about the categories that are more most demanded. One thing I like to mention is when we start our relationship with the clients, everybody wants client onboarding. They all want new clients, right? That's the first thing they want, and it's very popular. And we have implemented credit initiation, especially on the credit side in Latin America. We did credit initiation, quite a few of those. But the thing is that as we start understanding there's the situation with the bank and where they stand, a lot of them actually shift into client engagement, right? We realize that between 35 to 45% of their client base is dormant, right? So instead of bringing more clients and end up with half of them dormant after some time and incurring to the cost of KYC and the onboarding of a new client, they end up opting for chatbots. So chatbots are very popular. Electronic communication associated to marketing, you know, timely alerts. So re-engaging clients that you already have that are not operating with the new products that you published, so that you released. So this became, so it starts with client onboarding. We do have those, right, with KYC and security and everything, but also it became a very strong category is the client engagement. All the fintechs that are helping small businesses with financial management, for example. There is a fintech from Singapore we implemented in Africa, a virtual branch, right? So you have this mobile, they needed to expand their footprint, but not necessarily incur into lending and into renting or buying locations. So the fintech helped them expand 3,500 agents throughout the country and on a motorcycle, right? With an Android, and extremely secure, taking deposits, you know, taking payments. Basically, is a virtual branch. So those are very popular as well. One more thing, workflow. There is one thing that we actually implemented a couple of those, and they were very helpful because the core system has limitations, right? Sometimes the business want to expand the portfolio of products they offer. So there are a couple of fintechs that are on the workflow. One became very popular, which is they allow the banks to expand the core system without investing in the core system. So if you want to try a new product, especially if it's a credit product, because this workflow comes with alternative scoring mechanism, so you can implement them and actually process the applications in this workflow solution, right? You don't need to invest in developing your core system. You can play with the product. One of our clients tried 12 products, new products. They had 10 in the core. They tried 12, but half of them gave some results. So they avoided investing in developing 6, 7, I think, solutions, you know, processes and accounting, pretty much the whole thing in their core system unnecessarily.
I would also add, you know, by the partnership with AWS, they have thousands of fintechs in their ecosystem. And so the ability, and it's interesting when we talk to different markets, some want fintechs from their market and their region. Others want some from their market and their region, but really want to understand what's available in the global landscape. And this gives you access to all of that. You can have some local, you can have some regional, you can have some global, and really try and make a change. I think the other one that's really interesting is the conversation we have with customers around neobanks and digital banks only. And so if you're interested in testing a neobank or a digital bank while maintaining your existing infrastructure for your existing portfolio and growing that as it would organically, there is a way with banking as a service to really deploy a full set of products and solutions under a different brand, sub-brand that utilizes some of your services, but also takes into account the different solutions that are integrated together to one external solution. I think that's one of the things as well. We work and we weave some of these solutions together into an offering. It's not only just one fintech solution that could potentially go out. You could weave a couple of pieces, modular components of different solutions into ultimately an offering that is delivered through your financial institution. So really, you are in control of where this is headed and driving based on your particular infrastructure in your financial institution and the mandates that you have around new product solutions. In which category? Is it more retail bank focused? Is it more payment focused? Is it more wealth management? Is it on the SME business? Is it in lending? And how can you take advantage of some of these solutions that had again been on the 3-year strategic plan, but with COVID everything got thrown up in the air and we're just more reacting as opposed to thinking strategically about long-term on the offense side versus defense, which of course from a regulatory standpoint we all stay very much connected to. We are always available for questions. We will send out a presentation to the members, the attendees of the webinar. So you will get to see this and be able to process on your own desktop. And please feel free to reach out with any questions or ideas with regard to how we could make this a win-win for you and your financial institution. I don't know, Lior, any other comments or questions?
No, I'll switch back to Hebrew for a second, if you don't mind. שוב, תודה לכולם על הזמן, על ההשתתפות. מקווה שלמדתם, השארתם קצת את הידע, מה האפשרויות ש-AWS והשותפים מאפשרים בעולם של Open Banking. כמו שבטי אמרה, אנחנו כאן לכל שאלה, לכל עניין, כחלק מהמצגת והחומרים שהועברו כאן בוובינר, אנחנו נוסיף גם את הפרטים שלי, ואפשר לפנות אליי ואני אבצע את כל החיבורים לגבי כל שאלה וכל נושא שקשור לזה. אז שוב תודה, and I want to thank you again, the FinConnecta team and the AWS Financial Services team and all the attendees of this Open Banking webinar. Keep safe, stay healthy, and look forward to see you in our next Open Banking session. So thank you everyone and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you. Shalom.